My name is Corey, and I would like to welcome you back to the Clater house. I have a little bit of a, not necessarily hectic, but I have some extra responsibilities this week. I'm getting over being sick, so I don't have a full design advice video or a fully curated video, and I just wanted to show up in more of a real vlog style type of way. I have a project deadline this week to deliver some final design plans to some clients of mine. I have to dedicate all of my energy into finishing that, and I want to share that project with you because I think it's a very useful example of creating a cohesive color palette throughout your entire home without using the same exact palette in every room. Also, I've had a project in my own home that's been on the back burner for a while that I'm ready to dive back into. I need to put some energy into my space, and that's another reason I'm kind of starting this video in the way that I did. You saw my ugly blue kitchen counters, and I want to start sharing more of my home with you because it is far from perfect. I love my house. It's beautiful. I'm super grateful for the house that we do have. However, as somebody who designs for other people and puts together beautiful spaces, mine are far from that and far from being cohesive at this point. And I want to start sharing the process of making that happen with all of you. And that starts with this project in a room of my house. And also, this week is very special because it is my anniversary with my husband. So we have a little tradition that we do every year. I'm kind of going to bring you into that side of things, share our little tradition with you, and just have more of a relaxed, authentic week. So I'm going to get ready and we're going to dive into wrapping up this presentation for these clients. What? Are you ready for the day? Okay, let's go. Looking at the client project that I have due this week, let's talk about having a cohesive color palette for your home without having the same palette in each room. So for a little bit of context on this project, there are 4 spaces that I have been working on for them, and each room definitely has its own identity, but I had to look at their goals for the space as well as some of the other rooms in their house that are adjacent to some of these rooms to guide the direction for the color palette. In their lower level is the entryway and the living room, and with the living room being right next to the kitchen, which they're not interested in redoing, it is painted a brighter green color. It's called Relish by Sherwin-Williams, and that is not in the brief for me to design. They don't want to change it, so I had to consider that with it leading right into the living room space. So bridging that gap, I definitely incorporated green into that space. However, to bring it down from being super bright, I incorporated some lighter, more pale greens, as well as some darker, moodier greens to have a range on our green palette, and also added in some blues and like peachy coral colors. That was the palette that they were interested in from the jump. Those are what they listed out. So we went with a neutral base using our 60-30-10 rule, with 60% of the room being a lighter white, ivory, off-white color. Our 30% I divided between green and like tans and browns, some other neutrals. And then that last 10% I divided between the blue and the peach. So we're really working with 5 colors, but I did it in a way that incorporates the other spaces, brightens things up, but still gives them those pops of colors and personality that they wanted. And then right next to that was the entryway space, which I just did a consultation for their entryway. They didn't hire me to like fully redesign it. They just wanted a direction to go in. And then being the perfectionist that I am, I kind of ran with it and full out designed it, but that's neither here nor there. Instead of bringing the entire living room palette into the entryway as well, I pared it back. Their goals for the entryway, because it felt a little cramped to them, was to open it up, make it brighter. So we definitely went with a lot of white. The walls were white, same color that was painted in the living room, and did a pop of color with just a grayish, more muted green color. It's called Evergreen Fog by Sherwin-Williams, to paint some cabinetry. And then the flooring is a light flooring accent. You can see it right here behind me, to bring in like the tans and browns. So we eliminated the blue and the peachy coral color and focused just on the white at 60%, the tans at 30%, and then this green at 10% with a pop on the cabinetry. The idea is you walk in, you're greeted by the neutral and the green. You go into the living room, get a little bit more personality with some more color, and then going into the kitchen that they're not currently changing, you get a different shade of green, but it still ties in through those spaces, so that green is threaded throughout. Then when you go upstairs is her home office right up the stairs, and then at the end of the hall, their master bedroom. For her home office, she definitely wanted to lean more into the feminine, fun side of things. She was the one who was really interested in the peach color. So I went super bold and chose a peach wall color to drench the walls in, making that our dominant color, and then our neutrals, which will be like our wood tones, so our tans and browns, and our white are going to be at that 30% to really help rein in all of that, and have some green and blue accents as the 10%. So same palette as the living room, just implemented in a very different way. Then going down the hallway to their master bedroom, this space again was just more of a consultation and a design direction, but they were not interested in replacing any of their furniture, and with the goal of it to be really cozy and warm, they were really inspired by the concept of hygge, that they wanted to bring that warmth in. Well, all of the furniture in the room is really heavy because it's all black. It's all the same, from the same set. It all matches, it's all black, it's all very dark, which is great, there's nothing wrong with that. And then they have a light blue chair in the corner that they also were not gonna swap out, which is totally fine. However, with the idea of hygge being warmth and coziness, it would have been difficult to bring in a bunch of warm colors to balance the coolness and the heaviness, and also the warmer colors would also contribute more heaviness to the space. So I had to look at going more earthy with it and bringing coziness in through texture. So like really layered bedding. And the palette for the room then became bringing in those tans and browns and greens to help warm it up a little bit, but just make it more earthy and textural. So I've suggested repainting the room white, the same color that was used downstairs, Simply White by Benjamin Moore, and also applying a wall trim. Now we're doing picture frame molding in the living room, and I suggested doing the same thing in the bedroom, but I suggested doing a double molding look to create more texture on the walls to help add to that coziness. Also with the blue chair, I had to bring in some lighter and darker blue accents, broadening that blue palette, and then also incorporating more green. So no peach or coral in this room, but it still has the same blue from the living room and her office, and the green from all of those spaces come back into the bedroom. So each room, the entryway, living room, office, and bedroom, have very different personalities, but within the same style and within the same palette. If you looked at every room next to each other, they would make sense together. They're not exactly carbon copies, but they pull from one another, and the palette as a whole is cohesive rather than having the same peach, blue, green, tan, and white in the exact same way and ratio in every space. I know that was a lot of information that I just threw at you, but I hope it kind of made sense, and I also hope you enjoyed seeing the design from these projects. They're not quite finished. I'm wrapping them up, tying some last minute things together so that I can deliver the final presentation to them, but that long ramble is the process that went through my brain to reach the point that I'm at with this particular project. And I kind of follow the same logic in any space, looking at what's already there, what the goals are, and how I can create a through storyline through every space, but give them their own identity and personality. But that's just my approach. That's definitely not the only way to do it. If you have any tricks or any approach that you have when it comes to creating a cohesive palette in your home, please share that below. I'd love to learn some new ideas as well, but I'm excited to wrap this presentation up and deliver it and see what they think of everything. In addition to being excited for my client project, I'm also excited to jump back into a project in my house. We're currently in my sitting room, and you can see I kind of have the beginnings of some cabinets behind me. I started these earlier in the summer and then around August put a pause on it because I had to focus all of my attention on some of my client projects. And now that that's slowing down a little bit, I have some time now to refocus on my own home. We've lived here for 2 years now, and we've tackled some big projects, like we put in a fence and replaced our flooring, but that kind of like maxed out our budget for projects for a little bit. So we haven't really made over any spaces or made this house feel like a home or put together or anything. And I'm definitely ready to start doing that, but I have to focus on functionality, and these cabinets are a temporary solution, kind of. I mean, eventually we're gonna put a staircase here along this wall because currently our staircase situation is a little scary. We have a spiral staircase in the middle of a closet. So one, we lose storage space in a closet, and two, it's hard to get anything down those stairs. So like there's no furniture down in the basement. So for now, until the stairs go in here, I'm building some cabinets to work as some storage to help replace the storage we're losing in the closet. And having the experience building cabinets in another previous client project back at the very beginning of my channel that you would have seen, I'm building these myself, but I am approaching them a little bit differently. I already have 4 of them roughly built, like just the outside frame. I don't have the back or the top or anything, but like just the rough framing is done, and there's 5. So I have 1 more box to build, and it's not gonna be the most progress this week. I'm just gonna get the 5th box to look like these because I'm doing my client presentation that's due this week. But next week, after I've delivered that, I'm gonna come in and work on the backs of these. So just a little progress here, but having not done anything for months and having it sit like this and having samples and decor and stuff strode throughout my house, any progress feels great at this point. To put these together, I'm following the same steps that I did when I built cabinets the first time, just applying wood glue and then using 1 1/4 inch pocket hole screws. Since both pieces of plywood are 3/4 inches thick, my right angle clamps came in very handy for this. And then for the top piece, I'm doing this a little bit differently, and instead of 1 solid piece, I'm doing 2 smaller pieces just at the front and the back, but I'll touch on that here in just a second. The glue is now dried, and I wanted to highlight a little bit the difference here between these cabinets and the last ones that I built. The last time I built cabinets in that office makeover, I did a 3/4 inch plywood for the bottom, sides, and top, a solid top piece. And then for the back piece, I did a solid piece of 1/2-inch plywood that I then did pocket holes all the way around. And there were some weird gaps. It was hard to get in. And this time I used a different tool to help me have more straight lines, so those would fit better. But anyway, these aren't getting mounted on the wall. So 1, to save on material, and 2, just because I don't need to do that. And you can see where I routed out all the way around this a 1/4-inch panel. This is the back, a 1/4-inch channel. But then I'm gonna slide 1 solid piece of 1/4-inch plywood into, and then I'll have 1 more support piece like this single one running across the top that I'll then put on top of that to secure that 1/4-inch piece in and screw that into the sides. So I won't have a solid top piece on our cabinet boxes. The top of the cabinet is gonna have a type of counter that will sit on top of these 2 supports. So to save on material, I did not do a top 3/4-inch solid piece, and I did not do a 1/2-inch solid piece here. I do have, once the 1/4-inch piece goes in, 2 1/2-inch pieces that are going to sit just inside that, just 1 up top and then 1 on the bottom on each one of these cabinet boxes, just to have something to drill into to attach it to the wall. Even though they're temporary, I don't want to risk them tipping or anything. So just trying out something different. There will be a full video dedicated to this cabinetry, and there'll be the sitting room, this whole room makeover. That'll all be coming up, and I'll really dive in. I would have loved to have gotten the back pieces done with you in this vlog, but I just don't have the time this week. Unfortunately, I know this isn't the most exciting update or introduction to this project, but it just feels good to make some progress in my own house since this has been on pause for a few months. So I hope you're excited to see this entire project come together from this little glimpse that you're getting. Okay, we are getting ready to go celebrate our anniversary. Today is October 16th. Jake, my husband, and I have been married for 2 years. It's not in our budget, or this month, we don't have the budget to go out to a big, nice, fancy dinner or whatever, but we do have a tradition that we do every year. Well, this is the 2nd year, but it's something we look forward to every year, and it is returning to it's called the Bavarian Inn, but it's like a hotel inn type situation. They have a restaurant and a brewery and all of that. But we return there every year and share a bottle of Riesling. When we were there for our honeymoon, we had a bottle of Riesling in our room that, after the craziness of a wedding, when it was just the 2 of us at the end of the night, we had a balcony overlooking the Potomac River. We shared a bottle of Riesling, so we go back every year and share the same Riesling. And also the week leading up to our wedding, as we were getting ready and it was stressful, we took a day, just the 2 of us, and walked the downtown of the town where this inn is at, and went into a bookstore, picked out some journals, and then walked together to a different part of town and sat down, and we wrote letters to one another in each other's journals that then, when we were sharing that bottle of Riesling on the night of our wedding, we exchanged journals and read the letter that the other person had wrote. And so now we have done the same thing every year. When we go back to share that same Riesling, we write another entry in that journal, essentially like renewing our vows to one another and recapping the past year together, because we didn't actually write vows for our wedding. We just did these journals. So it's nice every year to like renew those just between the 2 of us and recap how our relationship has grown. And although we're not doing a full dinner this time, we're just doing the wine and writing in our journals to one another. I'm really looking forward to it, and I'll get a couple of snippets to share with you, but I'm really going to focus on being present and enjoying our anniversary. In case I forget to film an outro to this video, I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope you found some valuable tips in me talking through my client project and how I weaved their color palette throughout their house and are as excited as I am for some upcoming projects in my own house. If you have not yet subscribed, I hope that you will consider doing so. And until next time, I'm wishing you all my best.